Alright guys, this is Eduardo in Virginia, and today I'm making a video of the LEXTEL MS-600, and which happens to be a monitor station. So this monitor station is basically a piece of equipment that will monitor your radio station, that being a CB radio station or a ham radio station. It will monitor your radio and your power supply. So I will show you the screens that and functionalities that the specific equipment has. First thing I would do is power on. The power button is in the back. And this is the LEXTEL MS-600. As the number here implies, it can handle up to 600 watts. This is the main screen, and it has several different screens, and if I was on a different screen when I power it off, when I power it back on, it will be on that last screen where I was. One thing to notice is that the menu is mostly in Portuguese. There are some known English words in here that are used across the globe. And the reason why it's in Portuguese is because the manufacturer of this piece of equipment is in Brazil. By the time this unit was built, it wasn't built with the intention of exporting it out of Brazil, so it was done mostly in Portuguese. You will, though, recognize quite a few words in here that are used in Brazil for ham radio and CB radio. Okay, so here we go. Let's power it on one more time so you can see the screen. Let me zoom back in. Here we go, and I hope this video comes out okay. Alright, so a few basic things you need to know. It can handle 600 watts, but it can go a little beyond. So if you throw out, let's say, 650 watts or even 700 watts, it can still handle. However, you will throw alarm, an audible alarm, so that you know you have passed that, the safety of the 600 watts. If it gets to a point that is too critical, it will automatically power off. So I think there's really no way to destroy this piece of equipment by exceeding a bit on the power. It also does SWR measurements. It has 6 automated power scales, so that means, let's say here you will probably see 1.5 watts. Let me see if I can get the camera closer. Okay, so this is going to be a very basic fly-through video just to show superficially what some of the functions are for this LEXTEL MS-600. It can hold up to 600 watts, like I said. It does measure modulation up to 150%, and also measures your SWR, like I said, and it also covers frequency from 1.8 megahertz up to 54 megahertz. So there you have your whole ham radio bands covered, except for VHF or UHF, but it does go from, like I said, 160 megahertz all the way to 160 meters all the way to 6 meters. So it's not just for CB radio. You can actually use, and I've seen a lot of ham operators in Brazil using this for the ham stations over there, especially those that are interested in monitoring some aspects of their station. So this is the main screen. On the top you have 3 bars. The top bar is the watt peak, and the middle bar is the watt average. Then you have your SWR bar, and this bar can be controlled by the F2 button. So if I push F2, I go to modulation. So now I have the modulation reading. I also have the antenna reading. So if it's 50 ohms, it will show here. Let me key up real quick. They go about 50 ohms if you're looking at the third bar on the bottom. Top bar will be peak watts, and middle bar will be average watts. This is just the CB radio I'm using. It's only 5 watts, so it's not like it's going to blow the scale here. So let me show you with the modulation reading. I'm going to change this to modulation. There you go. So modulation reading now. Audio, radio check, audio. Okay, this is not a power microphone by any means, and this is a stock CB radio, so you're not going to have amazing readings over here, of course. Let me back out the camera a little bit, because you're not seeing everything that I'm seeing. Now you are. Let me focus a little bit. There you go. So here on the bottom you have the numeric section, which is basically a repeat of the top section with the variation here of this bar. So I'm going to make it look the same. There you go. ROE means SWR. Okay. Like I said before, this firmware is in Portuguese, so some of the stuff is in Portuguese here. So you have the peak watts into a numeric version, and that will show here on top as well. You have the average watts, which will show here in the middle, and you have the SWR, which show here in the bottom, and you have your battery voltage or power supply voltage, which shows right there, 13.5. When I key up, when I let it go, is 13.7. Try to adjust the camera just a tad. There you go. That should be good for now. I'm going to go into the next screen. F1 always change the screens. F2 always configure. If anything is configurable on the screen, your key is F2. So F1 for the next screen. This is the power supply analyzer. You still get to see your watts power over here, average and peak, and also have your SWR. But now you can see a graphic that shows 13.7 volts here. Once I key up, it's going to drop ever so slightly because it's only a small drop from 13.7 to 13.5. You go with key up, and you can see that the graphic now is rewriting on the screen, and it's 13.5 down here. It should be 13.5 here in this graphic bar. On to the next screen. There's nothing to configure on F2 here, so on to the next screen. This is a very useful screen, and this is the screen I personally use most, as it is just to monitor the watts average, the SWR, and the peak watts on the screen. You can also hold the peak, so you have a peak hold function on F2, and you can turn it off again. So as I transmit, hello audio test 1 2, hello audio test 1 2, audio. There you go. So that's it for that screen. Very useful. Big numbers. A lot of people like that. Let's go into the next screen, F1. Here we have the carrier monitor and modulation monitor. So this is where you will see your modulation. Down here you have auto, so that automatically adjusts to how much power you're putting out. However, I'm going to change this to 10 watts. So as you can see now, I'm going all the way from 600 watts all the way down to 10 watts. There you go. I'll key up the radio, and now I'm modulating, so you can see the modulation and the carrier moving across the graphic bar. This is really nice. Some folks will probably end up talking for several hours non-stop just because I'm just kidding. I get distracted with this kind of thing, so I end up talking too much usually, but I hope it's not your case. Let's move on to the next screen. This is the screen that shows it's a historical screen, okay? So it will basically show in its history certain details about what you've done with your station. So you have antenna failures, you have SWR, high SWR, you have reached the power limit on this equipment. It would show here, this is 600 watts, so if you key up 700, it would show a number 1 here because you've done it once, or if you've done it twice, it would show 2, whatever. Maximum RF power says 11 times, so I guess this is how many times I transmitted. I'm not quite sure right now. I would have to read the manual actually. I know most of the stuff on this equipment, but this one particular item I'm not too sure about what it means. Okay, so low voltage on your power supply. So if you actually lose a little bit of voltage in there, and you can set what the minimum is on the settings screen, it would show here how many times you've done that. It can also, and this is the maximum, so if you went beyond, let's say you set it for 15 volts and you went beyond the 15, you would show here also, besides the audible alert that you get, or alarm that you get when that happens. The highest voltage so far, it's been 13.76, so that's not a bad thing. It's just showing what your power supply is giving as the highest your power supply has ever been so far. Okay, you can actually clear the screen by holding the F2 function, so I'm going to clear the screen right now and hold it. So there you go, I've cleared the screen. It automatically did a reading on 13.75, so this is the highest it's been so far on the voltage. There's no way you can help with that because it is actually connected to your power supply, isn't it? So it is always going to read your current highest peak of voltage here. Moving on to the next screen. Here you have your configurations. Like I said before, and I warned you about this, this is all in Portuguese, and this is where you're gonna get lost if you would buy this product. My suggestion is wait until the English version comes out. I know the owner, the guy who actually builds these things, and he's already talked to me. He's doing an English version, so once the English version comes out, then yeah, you can definitely go ahead and buy it. Unless you speak Portuguese, this is not going to be helpful to you. Okay, so I'm going to go through it real quick. This is the peak bar. So remember when I transmit, and there's always a little bar that slowly comes back. Okay, so I transmit and then I release and the bar comes down, but there is a little marking that slowly comes back. So that's not it. The first one is actually the bar. So how slow you want the bar to come back when you release power. The next one is the peak marking, and that's how slow you want the peak marking to slowly come back. Everything that is in red has been changed already. If this was factory original, everything would be in green. Why is it in red? Because I've already set this up to my liking. Okay, so it's 7 to slowly come back and 9 for the peak to slowly come back as well. Same thing for the average. This is for the peak power. These two here are for the average power. Okay, this is the time that you want is set to hold your peak power. Remember that screen that had the big numbers on top and the smaller numbers on the bottom? This is the setting for the peak. Remember I said it's configurable? Here's where it's configurable, okay? The alert for SWR, I want it to beep as soon as I hit 2.0 for SWR reading. Alert for high power, high tension on the voltage, high voltage on your power supply. I want it set to alert me once it gets to 14.5. I don't want it to get beyond that. So, and also it does have Bluetooth. You can connect your Android. There's an application, there's an app for this system that you can install on your Android device. It's not available for iOS, so you cannot put on your iPhone or your iPad. It's not available for Windows, it's not available for Mac. It's only available right now for Android as far as I know. So what does this mean? It says it's powered on. Okay, my Bluetooth is powered on. Once you download the app, you can connect to this and you're going to get the screen similar to the default screen that I show you at the beginning. So what does that help you with? Well, it does help in the sense that you get two screens now. You get the main screen on your not iPad, on your Android tablet or phone, and you also get all the other screens here at the same time. So you can switch this to another screen while you're seeing the default screen on another device, and that's a very interesting thing. This is the setting is right now set to personal. Okay, that means since if you change one configuration here, this is going to change from factory to personal automatically. Okay, can you reset it back or change everything? Yes, you can using the F2 key. But like I said, this is not an instructional video, so I'm not going to teach how to do this. This is the peak and average for power graphic. Right now I read here a 20, so this is up to 20 watts. I'm going to key up my radio. It should show somewhere here in between 4 and 6. Yeah, there you go. Almost 4. This is a light baby blue color, and when I speak you're going to see, well, it's going to be orange. I don't know what's going to be on the camera. Let me see. Hello, hello, audio, audio. So the peaks are orange, as I can see here. Hello. Okay, this is another very nice graphic. You can change the scale with F2. So there you have 10 watts, 10 watts. Audio, audio. Hello, hello. I can speak with a very deep voice. All right, so there you go. So this is the peak and average graphic screen. This is not like an oscilloscope. It's a station monitor is designed specifically for these particular items that you can monitor without having to buy an expensive oscilloscope. And we are back to our main screen right here. I like to leave this on modulation. Hello, 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 hello. Now let me show you something real quick. If this was the screen where you last used the equipment, when you turn it off, of course it's gonna go away. When you power back on, it's back to the last screen you used. So it's really nice that you don't have to be clicking F1 all the way back to the screen that you like most every time you turn this thing on. Okay, some people will probably leave this equipment on all the time. Some people will turn it off when they're ready to finish their radio activities, you know. So yeah, that's been it. I don't have anything else to show you. I will post a link to the website where you can see this equipment. Alex is the guy who builds them, and he actually has now a 1200 watts version, so it's the MS 1200. So it's a bigger screen. This is, as you can see, is quite small screen. He built a new one with a bigger screen. That one is going to have the English firmware in it, so it's going to be a nice export version. it's going to have some extra functionalities. I'm not sure what they are. The graphic have already changed. It's not quite like this. It reminds me of this, but it's a little nicer. He did a very nice work, a very nice job with this piece of equipment, and I congratulate him on that. He's on Facebook, he's on YouTube, he's on his own website, and like I said, I'll leave a link on the bottom of this YouTube video so you can see for yourself on his website the different models that he has on his page. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.